So we're going to talk about the Himalayan singing bowls now. We call them Himalayan singing bowls because the bowls are found throughout the Himalayan region. There are also examples of singing bowls that are found in China and in Japan as well. They're made in a slightly different way to the bowls that we use in our method of sound therapy. So basically we use hand-hammered singing bowls. Sometimes there's a little bit of machine work in there as well, but they will have been at some point finished by hand, so you can see the little kind of bumps on the outside of them. Now the Himalayan singing bowls are hundreds of years old. There are, as I said, examples of them being found throughout the Himalayan region. They are made from bell bronze, and that's a ratio of 4:1 copper to tin. So it's an alloy which bells and cymbals and some gongs are made from, as well as the Himalayan singing bowls. Now, up until fairly recently, it was thought that the Himalayan bowls were made of 7 different metals, and in fact, still now some people are saying that they have singing bowls made of 7 different metals. I wrote in my first book that the singing bowls are made of 7 different metals until there were extensive tests done at Oxford University that discovered that contemporary and antique singing bowls, certainly the ones that they tested, were made of bell bronze. So there may be some bowls somewhere that are made of 7 different metals, but we think that largely, especially these days, that it's a clever marketing thing. But if you come across bowls and they say they're definitely made of 7 different metals, then you know, maybe they are. But basically our bowls we use now for our sound therapy are more contemporary bowls. Now you can get more antique singing bowls, older ones, but the way that the metal actually ages is it makes it slightly more brittle. So the structure of the metal starts to kind of weaken. Now, what that can do is that can have an impact on the sound of the bowl. Now, I have some antique singing bowls I use in my collection, and they still sing very nicely. But I have other singing bowls which are antique that I would never play, just purely because they don't sound very good, or they're rare collectible items. If you have antique singing bowls in your kit, and they sound amazing, then that's absolutely fine, use them. But just be really careful if you're traveling with them or dropping them, if you drop them, or if you put them down on a surface, if there's a little pebble or something, if you're using them outside and you put it down, you know, you could crack the bowl. So just be really careful with antique singing bowls. But as I said, we use the contemporary ones. There's a whole different range of contemporary singing bowls here, from ones that are coated in a black, I believe it's some kind of compound they put on the outside to interact with the metal, or normal plain ones, or also decorated ones you can get as well. So there's a whole range of different bowls you can get. The most important thing for a sound therapist is the sound of the bowl. Okay, so I know that sounds silly or obvious maybe, but sometimes you get very highly decorated bowls, but the sound isn't so good. The other thing that's really important to mention is, because we are cross-denominational in the work that we do, we're inclusive, is we try to avoid bowls or items that we work with that have an obvious religious or spiritual bias. Okay, so if we have a big Buddha carved on a bowl, for example, then that may give out a different signal maybe to somebody who was perhaps of another faith. So if you already have bowls like that, not a problem, and you may just choose to use them in specific types of work that you do. But when you're thinking about buying new bowls, then just bear that in mind when you're looking for your bowls. So in our, if you're doing the Himalayan bowl module, so if you're studying Himalayan bowls as one of your instrument choices, or you're doing the deeper exploration, you'll need low, medium and high tones. So that usually translates to large, medium and smaller bowls. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit more about that when you choose your Himalayan bowl pod option. You'll have a lot more information about that in your and playing techniques and things in that module. But for now, we're just going to talk about general playing techniques so everybody can enjoy the bowls. So basically what you do is you're in the equipment kit, you'll have seen that there were hard and soft wands, and again we'll talk about that more in the Himalayan bowl playing module. Wands like this, they come with the bowls, so you get a suede end and a wooden end, and that's really important when it comes to playing. And then chunky wands, the smaller chunky wand is for your sort of medium-sized bowls, and the large chunky wands are for your big bowls, your bigger bowls. Okay, but you'll find that some bowls will play better with wands, different size wands. It's just the way they are, and it's just about getting to know your instruments. So the way we play them is we put the bowl on the flat of the hand, and now this is a kind of what we would call a medium-sized bowl, and this is a small to medium-sized bowl, and then we've got sort of medium, large, extra large. Okay, so these are the sort of sizes. I don't actually have a very small one at the moment to show you, but again in the playing, when we come to the actual Himalayan bowl pod, if you've chosen Himalayan bowls, you'll see the small ones and how we use them. So just for now, what we're going to do is we're going to run our stick around the outside of the bowl. And you just need to put a bit of pressure on the bowl, but not too much. If you put too much pressure on, you'll be rocking the bowl off your hand. It's also important not to hold on to the bowl too much. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Just leave the bowl flat on your hand, and then just a little bit of pressure, so almost like the same kind of pressure you'd use to run your finger round a wine glass. So just a little bit of contact, and almost immediately you'll feel the bowl vibrating on your hand, and that's when it starts to sing. Now you may be able to hear distinct tones within that sound. Okay, so I can hear that. Have you got that? So this is because there are different harmonics within the Himalayan bowls, and we're going to talk about harmonics and the sound signature of the Himalayan bowls shortly. But basically, when you play the bowl with an open hand on the side of the bowl like this, then you'll hear all of the different harmonics. Now what you might want to do is you might want to isolate the lower dampen the lower harmonics and allow the higher harmonics to sing. Now if that's the case, you just curl your fingers around the bottom of the bowl, and then you'll get your wand, the suede end of the wand, and instead of playing down the side here, like I was playing before, you're playing more on the rim, on the top of the rim, and you're going to press a little bit harder. And as you can hear, those lower harmonics just aren't there. Okay, so if I take my fingers away and I play down the side of the bowl, those low ones come back again. Okay. So that means that some of your bowls, especially the medium-sized ones, you're going to get a little bit more bang for your buck, so to speak. So you're going to get a little bit more out of those bowls. So you'll have many different tones that you can get out depending on the size of the wand. So basically, the harder and slimmer the wand, the higher potentially the tones that you're going to get out of it. The softer wand is going to bring out the medium to low tones, but we also know that some bowls with a bit of pressure, you can bring out the higher tones. The reason why we tend to avoid this hard wood is because of the sound. So although it's going to bring out the higher tones, and they'll be quite sparkly almost, you're going to get too much noise, and in a one-to-one session that's really going to be picked up by the client. So we learn to play mostly the bowl using the soft wood end. The very small ones will actually play using the wooden end fairly quietly. You can also get softwood ones, which you'll need to order and find, scout around and find, or get a friend that is really good at turning wood that can do that for you. And then that will take away some of that attack on the rim of the bowl, so it'll be a bit quieter. So now let's go to the chunkier ones. Well, you'll see that here I've got what we call a sticky mat. It's just a rubberized matting. You can pick it up from a DIY store, and it comes in a roll, and they use it to put under pet bowls or keyboards to stop them sliding around. That's what it's used for. And in our case, it stops the Himalayan bowls from sliding too much. So there are some bowls which you'll play and they'll remain on a table, or they'll remain on the floor if you're going to play it that way. And what you'll do is the sticky mat just holds that bowl in place. So let me just give you an example. So what you can do is, if you feel that the bowl needs a little bit more help, is just pop a finger inside like this, just to hold it. Well, I'm just using my knuckles like that, really, just to hold it in place if I'm worried about it spinning around. And then you get those lovely deep tones, which are beautiful. So that's just a very brief look at the Himalayan bowls, where they come from, what they're made of, what sized bowls you need. Now, bearing in mind I don't have a very small one just yet. Those people who are choosing the Himalayan bowl module will go further with you, talking about bowing and about wah-wahs and about all these other lovely playing techniques that we use in one-to-one therapy.